My name's Henry Knight. I'm the managing editor of the interview board here at BPR, and I interviewed Senator from Connecticut, Richard Blumenthal.
I'm Omar Halim. I'm an interviews editor on the interviews board at BPR, and I interviewed, along with Chris Wilbur, Christopher Cox, who's the chief lobbyist for the NRA.
My home state is Connecticut. I live 10 miles from Newtown, where the Newtown massacre occurred, so this is a pretty salient issue in my state right now. And Richard Blumenthal is one of my senators, and he's doing a lot right now as a staunch proponent of measures to curtail gun violence and the mental illness issues associated with gun violence. So some of the measures that he's proposed include common sense regulations like universal background checks, limits on ammunition. A lot of our conversation really revolved around why there's so much opposition from the NRA's head leadership to things that don't seem to really infringe on anyone's Second Amendment rights.
And Christopher Cox sort of mirrors that quite well. He argues against a lot of sort of the congressional and legislative and a lot of Obama's measures against gun violence in the wake of Newtown. He argues that they're mistargeting the problem, and that really the issue should be focusing on mental health checks, on getting the mental health checks into the system. He argues that assault weapons aren't really the root of the issue, and that the root of the issue is sort of individual criminals, as opposed to the weapons themselves.
In response to that, Senator Blumenthal was simply begging the question, what about the measures he's proposed infringes in any way upon the gun rights of responsible gun owners? Responsible gun owners who use their weapons safely, who care about their communities and their neighborhoods and their schools, and the impact of their use of weaponry and their ownership of weaponry on the general populace. There should be ways to make the technology behind background checks and recording background checks and ensuring that they're safe and responsible and stringent enough to actually make a difference. He thinks that those things aren't really objectionable to the responsible gun owner.
What he said in response was that the measures that NRA was proposing did in fact have significant effects on gun violence. He agreed that background checks were important, but he argued that the issue was not in actually carrying out the background checks, but in reporting them from state level to federal level, so that you have a nationwide coverage against criminals and the extremely mentally ill having access to weapons. And also he touched on a topic which he felt was very much underrepresented, which was the culture of gun ownership, and how guns often form part of a family culture and a regional culture, and how that's very important to individual Americans in a way that it isn't so much in Blumenthal's constituency.
Well, Senator Blumenthal responded to that by saying he's a staunch supporter of the Second Amendment, but he just doesn't see any way in which the measures that he's proposed infringe upon those rights at all. He's both a staunch proponent of Second Amendment rights and a staunch proponent of these measures. He doesn't think that the two conflict, and he asks why the NRA is so insistent that they do.
So, I mean, essentially it's just this ideological divide. It just goes back and forth.